Hi everyone! Consisting of an ascending and descending form, the latter of which includes a lowered fourth degree, the scale we now commonly know as the enigmatic scale was first introduced publicly in 1888. The scale's credited inventor, Adolfo Crescentini, had presented it to the Gazzetta Musicale di Milano, a widely read music journal whose readers were invited to solve what was termed a musical puzzle. Of the surviving solutions, Crescentini's own harmonisation is the only one to include figured bass and to be presented as a rule of the octave with a single chord for each scale degree. All the composers of the extant solutions, including Crescentini, seem to have chosen their chords freely, simply including the enigmatic scale's relevant scale degree as part of the chord structure and not necessarily drawing them from the harmonised enigmatic scale's available chords. The C and E notes in Crescentini's initial C major chord, for example, are present in the enigmatic scale, but its fifth degree G natural is not. All notes of the following chord, sounding as an Italian augmented sixth chord, however, are included in the harmonised scale. Except for the notes of the Italian augmented sixth chord and the C dyads concluding the ascending scale and beginning the descending version, all other chords of Crescentini's solution include other notes not contained in the enigmatic scale. Harmonically, Crescentini's solution uses several chord types, including the already mentioned augmented sixth chord, dominant and diminished seventh chords, diminished and major triads, and even an altered dominant seventh chord, sounding as a cadential G7 flat 5 chord. Inclusion of an altered G dominant seventh chord at the concluding cadence, along with the other C major chords at significant points in the example, gives a certain feeling of C major, which is obviously obscured by the other chords. Traditional voice leading patterns also are sometimes included, such as between the work's three concluding chords. In other instances, however, voice leading seems to resolve incorrectly or is guided by other factors. The augmented sixth interval of an augmented sixth chord, for example, typically resolves in contrary motion outwards to the same notes, whereas here, Crescentini has them resolve in contrary motion inwards, following the motion of the ascending scale in the bass and the descending upper line. While the composer of this solution also chooses his harmonic content in much the same way as Crescentini, he transposes the enigmatic scale to begin on F and uses it not in the bass but as a cantus firmus in the tenor. Giuseppe Verdi also, in the first of his Quattro Pezzi Sacri, a work composed after the scale's 1888 introduction, uses the enigmatic scale as a cantus firmus, moving it to all four voice parts through the work's duration. The opening section, for example, uses the scale beginning on C in the bass. In bar 17, the scale still beginning on C is in the alto. In bar 33, the scale now beginning on F is in the tenor. And in bar 49, again beginning on F, Verdi moves it to the soprano. As with the previous solutions, while Verdi's texture uses notes from the relevant enigmatic scale, his harmonies are essentially chosen freely and are not necessarily drawn from the harmonized scale's available chords. One way in which a composer may use the chords of a harmonized enigmatic scale is with dyads, a technique which, as we've seen, Crescentini briefly uses. In the main riff of his tune, the Enigmatic, Satriani over an E pedal uses a series of dyads taken from the E enigmatic scale. Both notes of the initial dyads move by step. In the lower part, they move between the notes F and D, and in the upper part between C and A flat, which is then left by leap to F. The E flat A flat dyad is then repeated before the riff concludes with an F5 chord moving to the E B flat dyad. Whether Satriani heard these dyads as representing the following chords or simply as a series of dyads taken from the harmonized E enigmatic scale is unclear. It's interesting to note, however, that if these chords are in fact how Satriani heard the riff, their notes as well as the E pedal are all found in the ascending and descending F melodic minor scale and produce the following progression in that key. This aspect presents a possible compositional connection between enigmatic scales and major and minor keys. The available chords of a harmonized enigmatic scale, however, may also be used as pivot chords between these sound worlds. I hope you found this useful. Thanks for watching. See you next time.